Tonya and Lauren. It's nice to be here with you again for number 4 recording, right?
Yes, Sandy has been on 4 times. So I think on Saturday Night Live, don't they give them some kind of jacket when they get to number 5? So soon you'll be getting a first face value embroidered jacket.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I mean, we've got somebody on here that's been on 4 times. That would lead you to believe there's been like 11 seasons of this podcast.
Keep having Sandy on because she's just amazing.
I'm so glad to have you all back.
Yes, I'm so happy to be back. And thank you for that. Thank you for getting us back on.
It was touch and go. We didn't know. I didn't know. Do I buy new shirts? Do I not buy new shirts? Do I just keep the 3 that I have, or do I need more? I didn't know.
I was so afraid CNN or NBC was going to grab you two.
I had them on the line. They said, no, you waited too long. We're rescinding the offer.
I don't know. They told me I had an accent, so I wasn't allowed on their show.
Hello, listeners and viewers. Usually on the Face Value podcast, we have a topic such as NAR settlement, short-term rentals, or yellow book appraising. And then we bring on a smart, interesting appraiser in our community to talk about the topic and answer questions. But today we're going to approach the podcast a little differently. Today, our topic and guest are one and the same.
That's right, Warren. Today, we're joined by Sandra Adomatis. She is the 2024 Appraisal Institute National President. She chairs the Board of Directors and the Executive Committee for our national organization. Sandy, as we call her, is an SRA designated member, and she is joining us from her home at Punta Gorda, Florida. She is an instructor, and she focuses on green developments. Sandy, thank you so much for joining us on Face Value today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Tonya and Lauren.
It's so great to have you back. I know we've been spending a lot of time together on the board meetings, 4 times a year at minimum, some more throughout the year. And I've gotten to know you, I think, pretty well. Do you want to tell our listeners some fun facts about yourself?
Love to do that. I've been an appraiser for about 43 years now. I was married to an MAI. That's how I got into the profession of appraising. And I live in Punta Gorda, as you said, in Florida, on the water. And a lot of my time in Florida was involved with the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We did Coast Guard search and rescue in our boat. And we also owned an airplane, my husband and I. And we flew for the Coast Guard out of St. Pete Clearwater Station. So we would fly up and down the coast looking for boats that were in distress or things of that nature. And also you'll know that I am the mother of 2 children and 5 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. So they take up a lot of my time when I'm not working for the Appraisal Institute, and they're so excited to think that Grandma might have more time next year.
Yeah, take us through that, Sandy. Back us up a little bit. Obviously, you're the current Appraisal Institute president, but that is a running of the chairs. That's a few-year commitment. Take us back before that. How did even it become that you were interested, or the opportunity appeared for you?
It's a good question, Warren. And for several years before my husband passed away, every time we would run into Scott Robinson, he would say, Sandy, when are you going to run for president? And I'd say, Scott, I can't be the president. I just can't do that. And he goes, yes, you can. And my husband would say, yes, you can, but not till I'm gone. And so the year that he passed away in 2020, and before he passed away, he said, now when I'm gone, I want you to run. He didn't want me to run while he was alive because he knew he didn't have long to live. So he didn't want me away from him while he was sick. So he died in August of 2020. And in January 2nd of 2021, I got a call from Scott Robinson saying, well, are you ready now? And I said, how long do I have? And he said, a couple weeks. So a couple of weeks later, I called him on a Friday afternoon and I said, Scott, I'll put my name in. I'll give it a try. And he said, you've made me one of the happiest men in the world. So I'm so excited to have you run. And as you know, 2 weeks later, he passed away. So that's kind of how I got it, threw my name into the hat. And it's been, I had a lot of people that were supportive of me running, and I had some people that were not supportive of me running, as it usually is. But I knew I would be, if I were elected, I would be the 3rd woman president in 92 years.
Sandy, that is an amazing story. And I know you've spoken to me about how you got into the profession. So 40 plus years ago, how did you get into becoming an appraiser?
That's a great question, and one that a university student asked me recently when she found out I'd been in the business for 43 years. Well, way back when you became an appraiser, it had to be all men. How did you get involved in this profession? And I said, well, it was kind of a funny story. I was working for a builder in Indiana, and we had a lot of apartments, and we developed subdivisions and built houses. And one day we needed to have an appraisal on a multifamily property. So I called an appraiser, made an appointment for them to come out, and it happened to be the man I ended up marrying. So Richard Adomatis, MAI. We didn't start dating right away, but a little later, my boss signed me up for some classes at the University of Valparaiso. And my first night there, my teacher happened to be that appraiser. So from there, after the class, we started dating and dated for about 3 years. He hired me to work for him as his office manager 2 years after we started dating. And then I said, after a year of running the business, I said, I think I want to be an appraiser. And he said, the last thing I need is another appraiser. I said, well, that's just too bad because I'm going to become one. So he says, well, if you are, you have to take all the Appraisal Institute courses and you have to get your SRA. And I said, okay. So I signed up for classes and went through all that and got my SRA pretty quickly. That's how I got into the business.
So Sandy, for this past year as president, what were some of your objectives to accomplish throughout this year?
Well, the number one I knew would be a very, very hard one, but I feel like I did make some headway, and that was to try to bring more unity with the board. No secret to membership as the board was split. And I feel like we came together more toward the end of this year. So I feel like that was somewhat of an accomplishment. And the whole time I've been in the officer chain, 3 years now, most would say our officer chain was also split. And we came together this year and have worked together better than I've seen us work in 3 years. So I feel like that goal was accomplished. The other goal I had was to do more in the way of connecting us with other like organizations where we could have a larger voice when we needed to lobby in DC, and also to work together in areas where we have collaboration, where some organizations don't do education and we do. Others do better at other things than we do. So why not work with these groups? And Paula Konikoff, a president-elect, and I have spent the year talking with CEOs and presidents of other organizations, and we've got several things in the workings that probably won't really come out until the first quarter of 2025. But we've made great strides with several organizations. So that's been a real plus. And we wanted to carefully look at international and only look at ways where there would be a win. So what's in it for us? And we felt like our best opportunities were in Canada, which are our northern neighbor, and South America, our Latin countries, which is UPOV. And we have been to both of those organizations, and we did quite a bit of education at UPOV this year. And I believe we actually ended up making a little bit of money there, and we have opportunities to sell more textbooks there. And then also we came across an opportunity to sell our education on a international web, where all of our education is linked and anybody in the world can take it. And all we do is pay a real small percentage of what we sell. So that's something new that has come up also. So those are some things, goals that I had, and I feel like we accomplished some of them, and some of them we'll know more about next year.
I can't wait to hear more about especially the education. As being a board member with Sandy, I might have some insider information, but I've seen some additional services that are being looked at by our IT unit. And I think we have wonderful education offerings coming up soon. So everybody stay tuned for that. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about that on our next podcast.
Absolutely.
And Sandy, a bit off topic, but I know you'll be proud of this because I know you've been involved with the PAREA project since its inception and even before, because you've been on the podcast twice now talking about that topic. Yeah. Here in Colorado, we have 13 participants right now. And at a chapter level, someone, I can't remember who, but had the brilliant idea of creating a WhatsApp group on the WhatsApp app. And so at any time, any day, I'll have my WhatsApp notification go off because the PAREA participants are talking to one another. Hey, how's it going? It's pretty cool to see. And we've had them at some of our social events and they've become friends. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting. A lot of the chapters that I visited this year, some of the PAREA students will come to the chapter and they're so grateful. They'll say, thank you for working on this program because I had no opportunity to become an appraiser without it. So it's exciting. We've had our struggles this first year in the PAREA program, more so on the, financial side, making it work out. Our interim CEO has a really good handle on it. He's implementing some new technology, and I'm just real excited to see what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but PAREA, let's talk about it a little more for the third time on these podcasts, because I know the Appraisal Institute did invest a lot into this program. Sandy, I know you took a lot of initiative on that by drafting case studies and working with the programmers on developing how this program works, even working with the advisors or the mentors to help the participants get through the program. Is there anything you want to tell future members or future appraisers out there about the program and the benefits of this program? And let's not forget, the Appraisal Institute was the first organization to put this out on the market for all appraisers to help with the profession. So anything you want to add to that?
Last month, TAF had a meeting in Denver, and they invited 2 of the graduates and myself to come and serve on a panel to talk before the Board of Trustees. Because remember, TAF gave us $500,000 in the beginning to help us get the program underway. And so they wanted to hear from the participants what they thought about it. So I was the MC of, I guess you would call it, of the 2 participants. And they were just fantastic. They could say nothing bad about PAREA. They were so excited to tell us about their experiences and about their challenges. It wasn't an easy thing to walk through, but these 2 were very dedicated and they were able to work pretty much full time on the PAREA program. I think one finished in 8 months, the other one in somewhere around 9 or 10 months. Now that's just the licensed residential portion of it. So they still need to go through certified residential, but they took their state licensing exam and passed it first time. And one of the great things about it is everyone that's graduated so far and taken their state license exam for the licensed residential has passed first time. So that's a huge accomplishment. They didn't know ahead of time what questions the Board of Trustees would ask. And there were some Board of Trustee members that weren't quite, excited about PAREA. They weren't on board totally until that day when they asked a lot of questions. The participants answered the questions. At the end of the meeting, they were so excited. A couple of them that were not excited about it to begin with came up to me and said, wow, you sold me on it. I'm so excited that we've done this. So, that just makes me feel warm and fuzzy all over, because I did dedicate a lot of time, my VP year and then my president-elect year, part of it, I work with the PAREA team. And the PAREA team, I can tell you, is so dedicated to doing what's right and trying to get this program moving smoothly. Every now and then you run into a bump with the technology or with the data that they need. And so we've had to rethink or add some new stuff for them. But it's been real exciting to be working with them.
And I can't wait to see more participants graduate from the program and become licensed appraisers. That's the amazing part, to see this actually come into fruition. I know a year is not enough time to see how this program will benefit the organization, but I know the next year and the year after that, we're going to see a lot more members coming through that way.
Yes, I think about 40% of the participants have joined AI's practicing affiliates. So that's exciting to see. And we have over 2,000 that have gone in and registered as wanting to get into the program, but keep in mind they have to take all their QE first. So once they log in, we have a web page where they can do a checklist and say, this is what I've taken, here's my exam, and it will tell them what they need to take before they get into the program. If they haven't taken the Appraisal Institute education, they have to take a test to see if they're ready. Because we found that a lot of the participants that didn't take our education just weren't ready when they entered the program to start writing reports. So the entrance exam, if they don't pass it, we'll give them a course that they can take to help bring them up to speed.
And to you two PAREA graduates out there, if you're listening, or if someone's listening can get this message to them, public service announcement here. Sandy has some wall space behind her. Would you please, in the first appraisal that you complete, take the first page of the URAR and send that to her. I want her to have that framed on her wall for the first PAREA participant's first appraisal. I think that would be really cool.
What other challenges have you faced as your year as president?
Well, there's the elephant in the room. We had a changeover of CEOs. So, the last thing a president or any elected officer wants to do is to have disruption in the organization. But we worked through that, and I'm very thankful to the board of directors for working with us, because that you can't go forward if you don't have support from your board of directors, because the board actually makes the final decision. So we are so blessed to have John Udelhoffen in as our interim CEO. He has a great background in business and in consulting and in technology, which we sorely need. He started up 2 technology businesses and sold those to larger technology companies. He's run his own business and been a consultant for a number of businesses that were struggling, and he would go in and help them turn their spreadsheets around or their financial sheets around. So he has a lot of great business background to bring to the organization. And he has the staff just loves him. They say he has a really calm spirit, and he listens. He gives them direction and lets them go off on their own and do what he asks them to do. And then they report back to him. With every challenge that you face in life, there are opportunities. And I feel like although we've had many challenges this year with PAREA, with the changeover of CEOs and things of that nature, we have great opportunities, and we're moving forward with those opportunities. And I'm thankful for the support of the board and for the staff at the Appraisal Institute and our members, of course.
And I want to stress for the members out there, Sandy as president does not have a vote, which I think a lot of people are not aware of. So I just want to give you credit for running amazing board of directors meetings. You're very professional, respectful of everyone's opinions and ideas and thoughts, and you encourage everyone to voice their opinions. And if there's any concern, you listen. And that's amazing. You are a great listener, and you are a wonderful person to be around and to just share conversation with, especially ways to advance our organization and our profession.
John, this was his first board meeting that he actually sat through. And at the end, he goes, "That was fun, and it was productive, and I like the way you lead it." So I said, good. When the CEO likes what you're doing, it's a good thing.
Sandy, I like to get into the minutia of things and people's jobs. Can you just take me through a day or a week or a month as the president of the Appraisal Institute? How much traveling? What does a day look like? From
now until the middle of December, I will be flying to 2 different locations, 2 different states to do installations or speak at a conference or symposium. And that's pretty much the way it's been all year. Probably 85 to 90% of my time is traveling, speaking around different chapters and meeting people at other organizations. And when I'm at home, I'm on 24/7, pretty much on the phone or at a Zoom call or talking with my other officers.
So Sandy, this year has been a difficult year, not just for our organization, but for the residents of Florida. I know you've been impacted by the most recent hurricanes, the 2 this year, and I think a prior one 2 years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences and what Appraisal Institute members have to gain by just being affiliated with the organization? I know there's insurance out there and relief that's available to appraisers who are in similar situations where they have, natural disasters occurring.
Yes, and 2 years ago, Ian made a direct hit. And I remember it was 7 hours going through that hurricane. 5 of those I had to be inside in a safe room. 5 hours in a little small closet just waiting for it to go through. It did a lot of damage. It was more wind than water. I ended up having a few leaks inside my condo and the roof had to be replaced, of course. But I was very blessed because units in the street behind me they weren't even livable. They just blew the whole roof off. So it was pretty sad. Well, we just gotten roofs earlier this year from Ian. It took that long. And then we got hit by Helene and Milton. In 11 days, our city, Punta Gorda, flooded twice. So if you're a member of the Appraisal Institute and you've run into this kind of a situation, you can go into the Appraisal Institute's website, go to the AIERF page, and fill out an application to seek funds that will help you. I haven't actually sought any funds myself, but I don't believe it goes into great detail, but they help people with all kinds of disasters. So again, that's a great thing to provide funds for because we never know when it might be us that's hit by those and need that fund.
And the Appraisal Institute Relief Foundation, they are a separate board, right, that manages that. It's not organized by the board of directors, and it's funding that's received from donors. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. So it's a separate board itself that runs the foundation. They offer educational scholarships, and they also offer help when our members run into issues. I know one gentleman lost his house burned, and he was able to get some help through the foundation. So it's not just hurricanes or tornadoes, it's anything.
And you mentioned scholarships. I know there are PAREA scholarships out there and other scholarships, diversity scholarships, women's scholarships. Do you want to give us a little update on how the scholarships work and what's available there for the members as well?
The AIERF has some scholarships for our members. If you're a practicing affiliate and you'd like to get through the program, you can apply for a scholarship for the PAREA program or your education. We also receive $1.22 million plus $65,000 for administration of scholarships from TAF, which was part of the ADI, Appraiser Diversity Initiative funding. And the nice thing about the $1.22 million is that the scholarship is available for anyone, not just minorities or women. It's anyone that wants to go through the PAREA program and get into the appraisal profession. That's administered through the Appraisal Institute. So you can go to the PAREA website and find out a little more about that if you're considering getting into the program. And then also we have the ADI, which is the Appraiser Diversity Initiative. The Appraisal Institute has been working with the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the National Urban League in providing scholarships for education and for textbooks, calculators, and now they've opened it up for PAREA as well. So far, we don't have any PAREA students that came in through the ADI program yet. I think about 200 folks have finished their qualifying education. Some have gotten, a few of those have gotten positions with supervisors, but none have come through PAREA yet. So we're still waiting for that first ADI student to come through. So there's quite a few scholarships out there available for PAREA. We have people constantly saying, we can't wait till you get more graduates because we'd love to hire them on. Rather than taking on a trainee and having to train them from the very beginning, it's a huge benefit to an employer to hire someone that has come through the Appraisal Institute's PAREA program.
Well, we want to thank our listeners and viewers, as always. If you would go to Spotify or YouTube and watch our old podcasts and catch up on all of the ones that are out now. We have many more to come that we have ready for the next year and hope to see you all there. Tonia, if anyone had an idea, how could they get a hold of us?
So anyone has an idea or wants to be a guest on our podcast, we do accept referrals. So please reach out to us at our email address, facevalue@appraisalinstitute.org.